So Smiling Friends has been something that I have been very interested in over the past couple of weeks. There's just something that genuinely hits different in my brain. But how, you ask, you didn't ask, did a teenage girl who has never previously been interested in adult animation for her entire young life and has only ever watched kid-centered animation or just outright adult movies such as Alien, become interested in something like this? Well, that's what I'm here to figure out. So in order to accurately do the show justice, I'm going to break this video into 3 segments and very conveniently give you 3 timestamps that I'll be discussing in full. The humor behind the show, the audience for the show, and the intent/attitude behind the show. Again, the timestamps are in the description. The audience for the show. Now I know I'm going out of order here a little, but I genuinely think we need to talk about the audience before anything else. Whether Michael Cusack or Zach Hadal were thinking about it, which my instincts tell me they were, this show was made for a very specific audience or niche. Now, what really is a niche? Well, the literal definition is a specialized segment of the market for a particular kind of product or service, which basically translates to something specifically entertainment that is meant for a certain type of people. This niche is for Gen Zers who grew up with the early 2000s to 2015 internet. There are multiple examples of this, with references to the specifically brain-rotted of the time. But burn, you may say. Why then are we seeing so many teens like late Gen Zers and old Gen Alphas enjoying the show? Well, it's not as simple as you would think, my young Padawan. While there is a simple element of liking what the older generation thought was cool and wanting to be part of that community, I feel there is more to it. In my personal experience, since I'm a teenager, I'm in a bit of a rough spot generationally. I'm generally not considered part of one generation or the other, so I'm free to choose what I want. But this also means people in my age group got the worst of everything. I grew up when ElsaGate was just starting and had unrestricted access to YouTube Kids, which, to be honest, isn't that much unrestricted access, but regardless. YouTube Kids back then was generally unsafe for kids because, like I said, ElsaGate was just starting out along with the early 2000s edge. Sure, most of us are familiar with. I'm pretty sure the most productive content we watched were people like DanTDM and Coyote Peterson, and while they were good creators, they were very few in numbers, and for the record, I am very lucky to have even had them to watch back then, but I digress. Looking back on the old internet, things that Gen Z laughed at, we have a little nostalgia for, but it's hard to fully relate since a lot of us were like 3 or 4 when that stuff came out. But more importantly, we see the way our future generation is headed. Most of us aren't old enough to do anything, so it's a little bit of a I don't even know what to say. It's just very upsetting in general. That's why a lot of us, including myself, choose to linger in the early 2000s when ElsaGate wasn't normal, when Skibidi Toilet didn't exist, and 6'7" wasn't lurking around every freaking YouTube short. I hate that meme so much at this point. Anyways, in the early 2000s, even if politics and general world events were on the rise, they didn't dominate attention because of how infant era the internet was. Everyone was there to have fun. By the way, this is also when you see YouTube's edgier side, which leads me back to Smiling Friends. This show absolutely reeks of early 2000s in every frame. It pulls both generations in perfectly. It doesn't purely rely on memes, but it involves them enough for the older crowd and the most dedicated of the younger crowd to laugh at, which leads me on to the next segment. The show's humor. Now, there's quite a lot to talk about in this segment because this show is exclusively a comedy, so buckle up, guys, cause we're going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship, soaring through the sky, little Einstein. Okay, I'll shut up now. Now, I've described the audience this segment will hopefully make more sense, hopefully. Smiling Friends has a very specific chaotic flavor of 2000s humor, which, if you just described it like that, would basically be Rick and Morty, but it's obviously not. Don't worry, I won't just leave you with that thought. I'll tell you why. Many people in our generation watch the show and don't quite know why we're laughing, because whatever we are watching isn't always the smartest, most thought out joke, it's just kind of funny. Other generations call it stupid, but we find it genuinely funny. If you show a millennial Rick and Morty, though, they'll be laughing their butt off. And before I say much about Rick and Morty, just know I haven't watched the full show. I've only seen clips because of the sheer popularity. Why is this, though? And why do you feel almost naughty or icky coming out of every Rick and Morty joke, but sometimes actually feel almost better coming out of a Smiling Friends joke? Just to clarify, I have nothing against Rick and Morty. It's just not my cup of tea, and I don't prefer the show's pessimistic nature, but I understand why many people do. But again, I digress. Well, let's compare a couple of the show's jokes.
Let's go out there and make people smile! Oh my God, I did not think he was gonna do that. That scared me. That actually scared me a little bit.
So I don't have time to tell you my entire backstory, but Grandpa and government don't get along.
All day doing that?
Well, not all day. We did have a little break to have a little kiss in the closet.
All right, noted.
Far.
No!
I came here accidentally through a wormhole located in what you call get out of my head fart. I know you're in here, la 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 la. No.
Wow, look at that. You've got that iconic shrimp glow that everyone's talking about.
Of gear people. Calling me gearhead is like calling a Chinese person Asia face.
Notice the difference? One is inherently crude and mean-spirited, and the other is awkward, maybe a little gross, but positive, which is an overarching theme of Smiling Friends. Obviously, for a comedy to thrive, some mean-spirited jokes are bound to happen, and sometimes they are funnier than the wholesome ones. I kind of hate admitting that, you know? But when a show operates on it, it leaves a lot of people feeling icky. Here are some examples of some well-executed, mean-spirited jokes from Smiling Friends that genuinely made me laugh.
That's it, because we're all gonna die someday! No, please don't kill me, please, no, I don't wanna die, please don't kill me, please don't.
The biggest surprises are behind me. Dude, I warned you. I said I was gonna do that if you did that again.
These jokes are super funny, but there's a balance. I don't think I, or many others like me, would be satisfied if that was all the show consisted of. Or we would just throw it in a pile of other stereotypic adult animations. Stereotypical. I personally value this deeply. It's what has drawn me to animation in general. Being in itself, especially the ones intended for younger audiences, a positive medium. Or the kids ones anyways. Emphasis on kids ones. This is why I'm also drawn to King of the Hill, but that's a whole other subject. So in short, the jokes have a lovely balance between kind and awkward, and mean-spirited and gross. And this transitions us to my favorite and most important segment. The intent/attitude of the show. This is the most meaningful and passionate segment I've made in this whole video. Psychic Pebbles and Michael Cusack are some of the most hopeful creators I've ever heard from. I've listened to the podcasts, and even if Zach specifically has a good idea of how the world works, it's never in a pessimistic light. Even his attempts to humble himself are just that, to humble himself. And he said, like, it's so he creates amazing content and just doesn't get a hot head. not even to tear himself down. I bring this up because of his outlook on life. He watches old political debates, he has an interest in history, and all of this seems to have shaped him. He knows his place. He knows he's not insignificant, but he also recognizes he isn't God. And this is why the show is so great. Every episode you find something new, every episode has positive elements. He and Michael put so much effort into the show so he can look back on his work and know he's done his best and made something amazing. And we can just sit down for the day and turn off our brain and watch something genuinely funny, nostalgic, and wholesome. The fact that Pym exists is crazy. He's an optimistic character who's genuinely not stupid. All the characters are real in their own right. We all know or are an Alan. We've all met someone with Pym's emotional intelligence. We've all met someone as low-key and down-to-earth as Charlie. We've all met someone like Boss who thrives on chaos. That's all the show has ever been, no matter how much we analyze every little bit of it. And at the end of the day, the show is just good. Maybe it will end up outdated in the future, even if it is just a show, even if it was originally just two men sitting in a cafe discussing a funny little story about silly cartoon characters going through chaotic events. It made me laugh, and it changed me and many other people's perspective on what adult animation could be. And today, all I can do is leave you with this singular, hopeful quote.
Play the song and people hate it. It's like, well, they might. I mean, they seriously might. But what's the worst thing that can happen? They hate it, and you check your pulse, and you're still alive, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again.